So I'm Joe Kendrick, and I am the director and lead writer of The Raven of Telltale. I have with me a very special guest. This is Noah Gentry.
I'm actually the co-writer of The Raven of Telltale, and I am also a supporting actor. I play the role of Simon in the film. I would also say, if we want to throw in another title for me, I think I could also be referred to as acting consultant.
That's a good question. Okay. I like acting consultant.
Because you want to put co-director, but I think it's more of acting consultant.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in many shots, which you will see, we benefit.
I made him do it again.
He made me do it again. He was directing me when I was not.
I made myself do things again.
And I'm very thankful he was.
Do you want to try method acting?
Now we can move on with the interview.
So Simon is the character that changed the most from
Definitely.
conception to finished project.
Yeah.
Because pretty much every character, they have the archetype they're written in, and they stayed within that. Because you have Victor, who was written as the Byronic hero, and he stayed that. Yeah. You have Diana, and she stayed, her part. And then you have Simon, who was originally going to be a protagonist. He was going to be one of the good guys. He was going to be on Victor's side. He was someone who
kind of a sidekick role.
Kind of a sidekick role, but he was someone who could kind of intermediate between Victor and Diana, who had understood him, and could also talk to Diana as Simon understood Victor and what his secret meant for longer. And he's someone who would even help Diana in the climax when Ralph is hunting the Raven. And that would have made Ralph the main antagonist.
Yeah, Ralph was going to be the antagonist, and what I ended up doing is I took Simon and I decided to make him the antagonist because I felt like that would add more drama. And the other thing is it makes it a more intricate and interesting plot. It's not like a reskin of other movies. Because now, with Simon being the protagonist, you have his manipulation of Ralph, and that just kind of adds a little bit to it in terms of originality.
Exactly. Subverts a few of the tropes that I started with. Because originally, it's no secret that when I conceived The Raven, it was pretty much... I just read the book of The Phantom of the Opera, and I said, I want to retell this story. I wanted to add in some Hamlet to it. And I wanted to kind of combine some Hunchback of Notre Dame, a lot of French stories, because we have Phantom, Hunchback, and Beauty and the Beast, of course, those tropes that are all in there. And then there's a lot of Shakespearean stuff that's also thrown in with that kind of hero, that kind of romance.
Hamlet is Shakespearean.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Through that, Simon, he was a good guy to the end. Yeah. And he was the Raoul character. That's how I wrote him, is that he would be the third wheel, and there would have been a love triangle, which there still is. Right. But it would have been one that was resolved in the end, that didn't end up in murder-suicide. But it's because of that we have a much more interesting story that subverts the usual narrative. Right. And it also makes Paul's character more interesting. Because if he was just the antagonist, then the story is just like, don't judge people by their cover. And we've heard, that's one that we know that the story still tells. But by making Paul more interesting, by giving him...
It's kind of a lesson in ignorance.
It's a lesson in ignorance, that we understand how someone could be that way. He's not the real villain of the story.
And the point that I wanted people to take away from Paul's character is that, emotions are powerful.
Exactly.
And they'll push you to do certain things, but the thing is, it's not even that I'm trying to say, you can't be led by emotions, but rather you should stay informed while trying to achieve a goal, especially that's emotionally driven. You still need to make sure that you're rooted in logic and reasoning.
That's probably more true for your character.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if Ralph had looked into the murder and I think if he had really just done some simple investigating, he would have realized.
Yeah.
No, it's true. This man was beaten with a crowbar. He was not pecked to death.
It's not pecked to death, exactly. So I also play another character in addition to Victor. Yeah. I get put in a rubber mask several times in the movie. One of which is to play Joseph McGinnis, who is Paul's character's grandfather. And we have some interactions that we can talk about. Because this is a character that is... I don't really consider myself a character actor, and it shows. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun to kind of put on a mask anytime, kind of get into a character, because you do find that when you can look in the mirror and see something completely different looking back at you, it reinforms the way you act. And so, talk a little bit about working with someone who has 2 lips.
You mean 2 sets of lips?
Yeah, 2 sets, 2 pairs, I don't know.
Yeah. Everyone has 2 lips. No, it was interesting because it made me force myself to learn more about being behind the camera, which is difficult for me. You know, I do a lot of creative stuff, but a lot of the time it's more in the it's not in the technological aspect. You know, I make music, but I'm normally the lyricist. You know, I write scripts, but I never really film them. You know, I collaborate, but this forced me to kind of grow a little more and get a little more understanding, which was good for me. And it even made me do that while I had mono. So
that's true. I feel like I should apologize for that a little bit.
You've cursed me every time we filmed. I've been a little bit sick.
It was mono. It was
and then just random colds. But
that's true.
No, it was mono. It was mono. What might have been whooping cough. I still don't know. And then
I remember that.
Colds.
Every time
we filmed, I've been a little bit sick, but it's fine.
Thank you. I'm glad you think it's fine. You've done really good work, and I'm really thankful that you persevered, because you have some of the best scenes in the film are Noah's scenes, and let me talk about Noah as an actor, because I'm gonna get into kissing his feet for a second. That's not what I almost said.
I don't think that's an expression.
But the level of perfectionism that Noah has, and this is
neurotic.
It is. And he carries this towards all aspects of his work, because if you listen to his music, you read those lyrics, or listen to those lyrics as you might do, because you're not a fool.
There's nowhere that you can read them.
There's nowhere that you can read them, unless you're transcribing them.
Unless you're searching through my house and finding all the sheets of paper that I have scattered.
True. I would like to retract one statement. So if you're listening to his lyrics, you can see all the perfectionism that goes into that, and some of that stuff he writes quite quick, because I've seen him write stuff just in a session. You can see the level of effort that he puts into writing his lyrics, because you know all the rhymes in between lines, all the ways that syllables match up, you know, all that stuff that people look for. That better. I like how you started this by saying,
"I want to talk about Noah's acting." I was talking about my music.
No, it's true, because it all interconnects. The level of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And
I'm a crazy person.
You know, watching how hard that Noah pushed all of us, you know, in the scenes that Paul was in, Noah was getting on like, you know, what if you did it this way, which I appreciate.
I like options.
I like
that's
options.
The way of dumbing this down. I like options.
No, and it's true. And there's very few times where I have looked at takes and gone, I don't like Noah's option better. Very few times. Because even from a writing standpoint, he was looking for how to make the story better. And from an acting standpoint, he looks, how can I make the other people around me better?
It's not my baby, but this movie's my nephew. That's the way I put it.
Exactly.
It's not my baby, but I care about it very, very much in the way that an uncle that is not touchy cares about his nephew.
An uncle that's not touchy. I think that's the way I feel about some, like, your music that you make. Like, it's not my baby. However, some of the stuff I'm most proud of that I'm like, look at what I was a part of. It is your music. That's one of the things. And I'm like, look at what I touched. Like, this is strong stuff. Paul, let me talk about how hard Paul worked too.
Yeah.
He
I would argue Paul is a better actor than me naturally. Because for me, we have to do multiple cuts. But Paul is able to jump in and be ready. And I will tell you now, every time I've warmed up in the car before
I believe that.
I have to
I believe that.
Get in a headspace. But
that's true about Paul.
Paul just shows up and he just jumps in.
He can get into character so fast. Because, like, and that's true for anything. Like,
well, I actually directed him in the Jesus sketch.
That's right.
And
talk about that.
I'm saying we never had to do a rough cut with him or like have him rehearse his lines. He read the line once, he jumped in, and he would just kill it. He would just knock it out of the park.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that makes me most excited about working with Paul more next year.
That's true.
I really want to get him in front of the camera more. I really want to get him on screen.
He has done some of the most work in this movie. He might not be in as many scenes as you.
Yeah.
But he was one of the other singers in the film, and we sat down in one day and recorded all his parts. But I tell you, that's a lot to ask of somebody, because all he did for this movie, he recorded his singing, he was able to lip sync to it.
Yeah.
I think like he listened to the track once beforehand. He was ignoring that for a while, but he did that. He was able to lip sync to it, and his acting during that scene when he's singing it's phenomenal, because he can just kind of put on this it's like he's just putting on his mask, and it's like he's in it.
Yeah.
And that's true for any scene he's in.
Wicked talented.
It's true. He's crazy, and he was behind the camera some because I asked Noah to hold the camera a lot. I asked Paul to hold the camera a lot because originally I wanted him to be the second cameraman for every scene. I wanted like a backup camera to get multiple angles.
Lots of angles, yeah.
And I, maybe I didn't get that. However, Paul really shines in a lot of scenes. Yeah. There's a lot of shots where you're watching me act, and that's Paul holding the camera.
Yeah.
Particularly in the climax when the Raven's singing, and he's a phenomenal actor. He's a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
He's way too nice. He's way too polite.
Yeah.
To his discredit, he is too kind.
Because he won't cuss.
Because he won't cuss.
That will be a problem for me.
It's true.
Year, but
he's changed every time he gets the word shit, he changes it to either crap or garbage.
Yeah.
Which
it's a load of garbage.
It's a load of garbage.
Yeah, so now I'll talk about you.
Yeah, let's talk about me.
Yeah. I would like to say, as Joe's, I think I'm your longest collaborator.
Yeah.
I think we've collaborated with each other longer than you've consistently worked with anyone.
No, that's true. It's been since 2012, 2013.
Yeah, so as Joe's longest collaborator...
That's a fact.
The amount of growth and diversity that I've seen in his catalog is just phenomenal. And it's something that I really hope is picked up on once this is released, that Joe can do anything. He's not patting himself on the back.
I'm not.
He wrote this, he directed it, he filmed it, he acted in it, he edited it, he did video effects for it, he did the scoring for it, he wrote the lyrics for it, he recorded the lyrics for it. Like, he did everything. In a sense, he made the movie himself, and that's something that not a lot of people can claim. A lot of people, like myself, are creative and, have this energy that, allows them to get things done, but the thing is, a lot of those people, including myself again, are reliant on other people to help them fill in the gaps, and Joe doesn't need help filling in those gaps. It's preferable because there's some people who can fill them in better than you.
Yeah, and I didn't think that I would be able to do it like that, because I thought I was going to be relying on people. And when I was filming Oz, I thought I was going to have a sound guy there, and which is why the sound ended up being having a lot of problems in Oz.
Yeah.
But in this, I was kind of forced to think, like, now I have to be relying on myself, especially as I'm moving away.
Another thing is, you pushed me and Paul to be more creative,
Yeah.
When we met, we were both only interested in music. You were like, I'm just going to make songs and produce it. I was like, I'm just going to make songs.
Right.
But now, from seeing you do films, it's had me decide, I'm going to start doing, sketch comedy. I'm going to start writing my own movies. I'm actually working on a play right now.
I'm so excited.
No idea when you'll ever see that performed, but I'm working on a play now. So just like Joe's creative energy is something that is just on a whole other level.
And it's something I didn't think I'd be at right now. Like, if you had shown me the finished product of this as I've been editing it now, you showed that to me even like 2 years ago. I've been like, who'd I get to do this? Like, who's making this? Like, where'd this come from? I can't do that. And that's something that I also, it's because Noah talks about how I did a lot of things myself, and the truth is that I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself, though.
Yeah.
Even if I can edit, even if I can act in my own stuff, because I've been acting in my own stuff for, since I've started making movies. But really, it's all of our babies,
right?
Because it wouldn't be the way it is if Noah hadn't, introduced his ideas to the story, and who knows how many late nights I've had texting Paul about, like, does this work for the movie? Do you think this is a good idea? Yeah. Nathan Perkins, too. I've stayed up till 3 a.m. being like, does this scene make sense? And he says, no, Joe, it doesn't. I said, And
collaboration is the root of creativity, but the thing is, reliance is a dangerous thing.
Oh, it is.
You'll never have that danger.
Exactly. And it's something I thought I would. But if there's one lesson that I want to teach people, is that in this day and age, you have no excuse not to be making something if you want to make something. Yeah. If you want to make a movie, you have the tools.
And there are people around you just have to look for them.
And it's true. And, I mean, I may have a camera now, but I used to film movies on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And that's how I would make movies, and I was serious about it.
The other thing is, you adapt to what you want to do, and you figure it out. Like, we met doing musical theater.
Exactly.
Do you want to pursue a career in musical theater?
No.
And I don't either. No. But had we
still going to be doing it, though.
Had we not had that original interest, we might have never connected. And if we did, we might not have connected the way that we did, because we connected in a judgment-free zone.
Exactly.
That's what I really like is, you know,
cool.
we both met in a middle school play. You know, there's no way that, like, social ladders or anything could have gotten tied into that. And by the time...
Yeah, we're in different grades.
Yeah, and by the time that, you know, we realized we were in different social circles, it didn't matter because we were close enough.
Exactly.
Do you want to wrap this up by talking about what's in store for the future?
Let's talk about the future. Cause,
first of all, if you haven't gone and checked out the book for The Raven of Telltale, you should go do that. You want to tell them where it is?
It's going to be on my website. Go to
It is on my website.
It is on my website as of right now. Click the link in my Instagram bio to go to my website. And you can see links to the books, you can see links to this movie, you can see everything else I've ever made.
Links to your music?
Links to my music, links to Noah's music, links to Joshua Moore's music, and whoever else I've collaborated with by the time that this video is released. So go read that. It's long and there's a lot more detail, and the movie's going to be a better experience.
Yeah.
All right, there's an EP on the way.
There's an EP on the way.
By Noah Gentry.
That's all I want to say, actually, about it.
Okay, that's fair. It's going to be really good.
There's an EP on the way. Joe's on the beats. I'm on the beats. And that's how it is.
Noah is one of the few creative people that I trust 100%. Even if I disagree with his ideas, it's always a good idea. Because anytime I knock him down and say, I don't want to do that, it's not because it's a bad idea.
It's just because it works with your vision.
So, go watch the movie. Go listen to new music.
And the EP when it drops.
And the EP when it drops.
All right.